less likely to stick, although it may well still stick. We shall see. I'll just finish off greasing this tin. There we go, that should be fine. So, just move that back to one side and put the wrapper from the butter packet over there. Okay, so got butter on my hands now. Okay, so the next thing that I need to do is I need to bring that back and add the base for the cheesecake. So, in this bowl, I have approximately 14 grams of dark chocolate digestive biscuits that have been crushed and broken apart, and I've just heated them through in a pan with around 85 grams of unsalted butter, and I've just let the butter and the chocolate melt whilst I break up all the biscuits, and this will be the base of the cheesecake. Now, I did actually buy some relatively cheap biscuits, so I added just a small amount of dark chocolate to it as well, just to give it a little bit more of a chocolatey taste, because the biscuits, being cheap, didn't have much on them. But what I'm going to do is add this to the base of the tin and then just press it firmly down. Just spreading them evenly across the base of the tin. They smell amazing, like dark chocolate and biscuits. It's nice. I'm actually going to use this as a spoon that I have bent, and I bent this spoon mainly to assist in making gravy, so I can skim the fat off of drippings that come from any kind of roasting meats that I do. But it also serves very well as a kind of a pressing tool, and I can make the base of this cheesecake relatively flat. So I'm just going to spread this out evenly, or as evenly as I can. And I want it to be quite firmly pressed because you want a nice crunchy base for the cheesecake. So I'm just going to I will prepare the rest of the cheesecake. So the next thing to do is bring all of the ingredients together for the actual cheesecake. So I have a mixing bowl. The first thing to add is some golden caster sugar. This is around 150 grams. Now the recipe does call for, I think, 200, but I've reduced everything by a quarter because this is a very high cake tin. For the size of the cheesecake, you're meant to use, I think, a slightly wider and shallower one. And what I found in previous years is that just the depth of this cake tin can make it take a little bit longer to cook through, and you also then risk the outer edges becoming quite grainy. So what I'm going to do this year is just reduce the amount slightly in the hope that I can cook it slightly quicker and not overcook the outer edge. So yeah, the amounts of the recipe have been reduced by a quarter, so 150 grams of golden caster sugar. And then I need 675 grams of cream cheese. I'm using a nice cheap brand here. And these tubs are actually 200 grams each, but I don't imagine I'm going to get everything out, so I'll probably use 3 3/4 tubs. I'm going to need a spoon to help get this out. So. So that's 1 tub. And I didn't get it all out, so I think almost 4 tubs will probably be the right amount. And the smell of this literally just reminds me of Christmas because I only make this once a year. Maybe twice if I decide to do it around Easter, but that's tub number 2. That's tub number 3. And as I said, so it's supposed to be around 675 grams. I'm just going to add the majority of this tub. This one, look how clean it, I don't know if you can see, it's coming out perfectly from the back. I think that's probably the right amount. So, put that to one side. So, the next thing I need to add, I'm just going to try and get, so I'm going to first thing I need to add is approximately 3 tablespoons of plain flour, which I have in here. There we go. 3 tablespoons of plain flour. Then I need 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, which I have here. So, 1.5 teaspoons. Apologies, I'm hoping you can see everything that I'm doing. Lost a little bit around the side there, so I'll add 2 just to be sure. There we go. So, oh, it smells amazing. 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Now the next thing I need to add is what makes this a Bailey's cheesecake. Some Bailey's Irish cream. So I need 2 tablespoons. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the bowl slightly further away so perhaps you can see what I'm actually doing. So I need 2 tablespoons of this, which is not very much. I'm just trying to actually get 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to, oh, I've spilled it everywhere. This has gone terribly. Well, I'll add another half just to be sure. So that's 2, not accounting for that bit there. So I'll add another half. And then, just to be extra sure, I will add a tablespoon of Bailey's to me. Oh my word, I've made such a mess. Anyway, Bailey's everywhere. More will be added. I've got a nice bit of kitchen paper. I'm not sure the kitchen paper will absorb this too well, because obviously Bailey's is basically cream, but let's just, maybe there's some ASMR to be had in the cleaning. Okay, so 2-ish. I have no idea how much Bailey's that was. Okay, eggs, 2 eggs. I've already kind of beaten these eggs just to make it a little bit easier to mix it all together. And then I need 210 mils approximately recipes has to do. In the past, I've had to cook this for an extra 40 minutes or so. Maybe not 40, but I've had to cook this for an extra 25 minutes on top of the 25, just to make sure the internal temperature in the middle is correct. I think it's meant to be like 140, 145 Fahrenheit. I don't know why I switched between Celsius and Fahrenheit, but anyway, yeah. So I'm going to pour this, and then I'm going to bake it. To be honest, I'm just glad that this year it's a little bit thicker. I think this is actually the perfect amount. I've made a bit of a mess, but that's okay. So I'll put this over there. Let's give this a little shake, take some off the edge. It tastes delicious already. So yeah, as I said, I'm going to bake this for 35 minutes, including the temperature changes, and I will show you what I'm working with after, and then we can put the finishing touches on this. So, see you shortly. So, I ended up leaving the cheesecake in the fridge overnight because it got quite late. Apologies if you hear any background noises. I'm recording during the day this time, so my children are up and running around. So, the cheesecake has obviously been cooked. It now just needs its finishing touches. So, I have got some slight cracking in the cheesecake, but that usually happens. The most important thing is that I can take this out without breaking kind of the sides, so I'm going to try and do that now. And probably make a little bit of a mess while I do this. There we go. I now have some butter on my hands and my arm, but that's okay. So yeah, we have a cheesecake. I've got quite a high biscuit base on this, which I like. So the finishing touches. I need some sour cream, which I will put into a bowl. That should be enough. Then I need some more Baileys. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons. I will add slightly more. That's slightly more than 1. Slightly more than 2. I'll try to not spill this. this around while still trying not to break the cheesecake. So just gently spread that around, try and make it relatively even. Doesn't have to be too much of this, just enough to cover it. And this is really where most of that Bailey's kind of taste will come from, because the actual kind of the amount that's used in the rest of the cheesecake is not actually that much. So just spread that around, almost like you're spreading tomato sauce on a pizza. Try and bring it to most of the edges. Now the next thing I need to do is just to add some cocoa powder on top. And some of this. Now, I should really use a sieve to make it kind of sprinkle over nice and evenly, but my sieve is a little bit dirty. So I'm just going to sprinkle it from a height and hope that I can get a good coverage. It's not as even as I'd like, but that's what happens when you don't use a sieve. Try and just, that's not really working either. Just again, just sprinkle it over. And then what I should be able to do, just blow this. And that's taken off most of the kind of excessive amounts. And then I'm just going to add some kind of lines across for rough serving sizes. I might use the back of the knife for this actually. Where it's a little bit thicker. I might just carefully draw a line. It's almost okay. I definitely could have done a better job. Just going to carefully make some lines. And then I'm going to have to eat all of this cocoa powdered covered topping, which isn't too bad. Just quite strong of cocoa. And then I'm just going to add some of these kind of Lindor truffles, just for the final kind of touches. Two spaces here, so it's not quite even, but I'll show you what we've made. Hopefully we won't lose them.